So, with Overdose Awareness Day coming next month and the growing opioid epidemic, I figured today would be a good topic to talk about my fentanyl overdose, as well as ways to administer Narcan and some harm reduction techniques to make sure that we're all safe out there. Starting off, I had I was a long time heroin user for 10 years. That got really out of control. And when fentanyl hit the scene down in the north side of Dallas, heroin became difficult to get a hold of. However, fentanyl was very easy to get a hold of. So a lot of the heroin users were moving over to fentanyl. And when I had my introduction to it, I had been withdrawn for about 2 days, and I was really sick. And a friend of mine had came over to this apartment that I was at, and he had some fentanyl. And I had heard that fentanyl would make you feel better. Fentanyl kind of scared me at the time, but I had heard that it would knock that withdrawal off. And one thing about a heroin withdrawal is like when you're gripping, you'll do almost anything to calm that, not just necessarily the craving, but the sickness. It is a gut-wrenching feeling. It's at that time I was sick. I didn't really know what was wrong with me. But it was, I got to the point to where I was defecating on myself, throwing up uncontrollably, couldn't walk on my own, couldn't take care of myself. And so I was at that point to where I was about ready to do anything to get rid of that sickness. And so what they did was they put some of that fentanyl, and I was in a room with about 20 people. And they put some of that fentanyl on a foil, and everybody was freebasing it off the foil. And it came around to me, and I took one hit and phased out. I woke up from what everybody tells me about 10 minutes later. I was in a cold sweat, pouring, just uncontrollable sweat. I was cold. My skin felt like, if I could say anything, it was like snake skin, right? And my entire body was tingling, and I could not collect a thought in my brain to register what had just happened or anything that was going on around me. The people in the room, there were some angry faces looking at me. There was a couple faces with tears in them. And then the rest of them just kind of had this look of awe about them. And I had no idea what had happened. Absolutely no idea. And then they had told me that I took a hit off that fentanyl and that I just dropped. And that's a scary, scary feeling to know that something could kill me that quick and I didn't even see it coming. I didn't feel it. There was no warning sign. It was just done. And let me tell you about something about the people you get high with. I had hung out with them people for years. And when I woke up, most of those people cared less if I lived or died. They were mad that when I phased out, I dropped the foil and wasted the fentanyl. So when I woke up, everybody's like, "You owe me money." And I was like, "You've got to be kidding me. Like, I almost died and y'all are sitting there trying to run my pockets? Like, this is crazy." There's people that I kicked it with for years. And it really lets you know that, some of the people we get high with, some of the people that we call friends, they're friends with motives. They're those conditional friendships that are only around you for what they can get from you or what you can provide. And I'm thankful that they brought me back. But at the same time, you see the caring nature of an addict, right? When addiction takes control of how we think, feel, and believe about everything in the world. It's a completely, it's wrapped in selfishness. It hurt. It hurt that people cared about $30 more than they cared about my life. And I was upset and I was mad, and everybody was telling me how I was in the wrong for being mad that nobody that I didn't have the money to pay these people back, and I didn't. I mean, I had like $10 in my pocket, which I ended up coughing up by the end of the argument, and I ended up leaving. Um, Soon after that, my liver gave out, and I was back in the hospital. Um, Ended up being in there for 2 weeks. Had to get multiple blood transfusions. I was bleeding out internally, and I had liver failure. My skin was yellow. I was extremely weak, um, distraught, kind of didn't know which way was up. That tingling sensation that I was talking about, it lasted for about 2 weeks nonstop. And the best way I could describe that tingling sensation is like a out of body experience. It's like you're there, but you're not there. Like it's a very loose attachment between the soul and the flesh. Like you're just right there on the brink. And that was there for like 2 or 3 weeks, even when I was in the hospital. And it didn't leave until I got out of the hospital. So, in saying that, you know what I'm saying, fentanyl is very dangerous. I do understand why it is such a huge threat because, man, it's something that will kill you before you even know you're dead. It is something that happens so fast, and you don't even get a chance to say goodbye. You don't get a chance to say I love you. You don't get to finish off your bucket list. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's it. It's a quick death. And I have a lot of friends that are still out there using it, and it scares me, It scares me to death to think that one of these days I'm going to get a text message or a phone call saying that a good friend of mine is going to die from fentanyl. And so that's why today I'm making this video because, you know what I mean? If this video saves your life, then it's worth it. And my dad told me, he said, Sean, if you getting sober, well, first off, if your 25 years of addiction gave you enough knowledge to where today you can use everything you've learned to help save one person's life, then it's all worth it. And so that's what I'm trying to do today. I'm trying to save people's lives. So first I want to talk about Narcan. Narcan comes in a pretty box like this. There's 2 nasal sprays in each box. It's very important that you carry at least 2 Narcan on you. It took 2 Narcan to bring me back. 1 wasn't enough. 1 didn't even faze me. So it took 2. Sometimes it takes more. And it's not a guarantee that it's going to work. So you're rolling the dice on it either way. But it did save me, and I hope it saves you. As much as we don't want people to use anymore, there are some harm reduction techniques that people can use throughout their addiction. One is never use alone. If you're going to do it, make sure someone else is present in case you do phase out and somebody's got to hit you with some Narcan or get you to a hospital or render aid to you in any way. Number 2, and this is going to be a touchy one, but clean needles. You know what I mean? I know people don't like to talk about needles because they say, oh, you're just encouraging people to enable, but it's a safety precaution, man. There's all kinds of diseases that can be transmitted through needles, not to mention the quantities of drugs that are used through needles can be fatal. So make sure you're using clean needles and make sure you're not pushing the limits, so to speak, of what you can handle. Number 3, and think about the people that love you before you use, man, and think about where your life is going. It's hard to get away from fentanyl. It's hard to get away from heroin. It's hard to get away from any opiate or stimulant drug. But I would say this for fentanyl more than anything. Do not try to whip this on your own. Do not try to lock yourself in a room and detox or treat it lightly. This is your life. You can die just from the withdrawal. You can have liver failure. You can go into cardiac arrest. There's many different things that can happen from just withdrawing. So if you're going to withdraw off heroin, do it in a safe way. Go to the hospital. You can walk into the emergency room. You can tell them you're addicted to opioids, specifically heroin or fentanyl. They will admit you. They will ease that physical withdrawal, and then afterwards they will help get you into treatment. I wish I'd have done that. I didn't do that. I tried to whip it on my own. And it took months and months of physical torture. And for those of y'all who know me, no, I'm not lying. It was almost a solid year of pain and misery every single day. My withdrawal, I almost died more times trying to kick this than I did using it. That's how serious it is. I had more hospital trips trying to withdraw and get off of it than I did while using. So if you're gonna stop, do it the right way. Go into a hospital, get medical help. Yes, it takes a certain degree of, I gotta come clean with my stuff. But look, they're not gonna call the police on you. You're not gonna get in trouble. And they need to know so they can know how to treat you. Right? So, third thing we're gonna talk about is how to administer a Narcan. Take it out of the package. Tip the head back to whoever's overdosed, opening up the nasal passage. Jam this nasal inhaler as far as you can up their nose and shoot it. Don't just push it slowly, shoot it all the way to the back of their brain as hard as you can. It's going to be uncomfortable for them. It's going to be uncomfortable for you, but ultimately it'll help save lives. So I hope if you're here listening to this today that you understand that life can get better. Life doesn't always have to be the way it is. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to accept life as junkies or addicts. You can be more. You can step into a new you. You just got to have the courage to do it. You got to have the willingness to do it. You have to have the discipline to do it. All three of these things are the opposite of addiction. That's all I got today, guys.